Hi, everybody. Welcome to the second to last day of the 2021 Spring Rights Literary Festival. We have another event tonight, a Spring Posy, Playwrights and Performance. That's from 7 to 9. Many different playwrights performing 10-minute pieces. And tomorrow we have a few other events. So I'll put the link to springrights.org into the chat. Spring Rights is a program of the Community Arts Partnership of Tompkins County. I am Robin Schwartz. I am the CAP Program and Grant Director. All Spring Rights events are taped, which is great, because if you missed anything, it'll be on the website in about a week or so. Some housekeeping. Throughout the event, we will ask the audience to please stay on mute. And if you have taken yourself off mute, please put yourself back on. And please use the chat very heavily for questions and comments. Since you're all on mute, and many of you will have your videos off, you don't have to. We like to see your faces. Chat is where we hear feedback and we hear the applause and we see questions. So I just love it when I see a lot of comments coming in the chat. I'd like to thank our wonderful Spring Rights sponsors, Ithaca College, Wegmans, M&T Bank, CFCU Community Credit Union, the Odyssey Bookstore, and the Ithaca Marriott. We also receive support from New York State Council on the Arts, and Poets and Writers helps us pay our participating writers. Although the festival is free, we always ask for donations. Any not-for-profit is just have to constantly ask for donations. If you feel moved to donate any amount to the awesome Spring Rights Literary Festival, I will put the link in the chat, along with the CAP website link and the Spring Rights link. I want to just introduce Mickey Quinn. She is helping me technically tonight. She's a local producer and artist and many things. And I'm so thankful that you're here with me on all these Spring Rights events. I have a buddy. I have a Zoom buddy.
It's my pleasure.
I am now, so tonight the first event is a group reading, and local writers Roger Hecht, Nora Snyder, Stacy Murphy, Tiffany Fleming, and Chris Holmes. And we're going to start with Roger. And I am going to introduce each writer. And what I'm reading is in the participant bio page on Spring Rights. So if you want to find the writers' websites, it's on the Spring Rights page. So first up is Roger Hecht. His poems have appeared in Denver Quarterly, Puerto del Sol, Gone Lawn, Diagram, and other journals. His books include Witness Report and Talking Pictures. He's an associate professor of English at SUNY Oneonta. rogerwhecht.wordpress.com. Thank you.
Unmute myself. Here we go. Wait, am I muted or unmuted?
No, you're fine.
Okay, great. Little things pop up on the screen and then you panic. Hi, thank you so much, Robin, for one, organizing this wonderful festival and that terrific introduction, which I wrote, but you read it very well. I'd like to read a couple of poems from my chapbook here, Witness Report, which is looking reversed on my screen, maybe it coming out the proper way on your screens. And then actually a new poem, because one always keeps on writing, don't we? This is the title poem called Witness Report. You couldn't tell distress in the duck's face, not from the distance we watched it. Maybe in her gait or in the rapid turn of her head with the traffic whizzing past. Certainly, the raft of ducklings strung in a line, then rushing in behind her, showed at the very least confusion. The duck hopped a granite curb the ducklings couldn't leap. It seemed a storybook tragedy was playing out before us. A man tried herding them to the sidewalk, waving off cars that slowed and fortunately didn't wreck. And when the ducks turned back across the road, we knew the resulting mess would form the stories the dozen of us watching helplessly from the gas station pumps might tell our friends that night at dinner or over drinks. We're a sentimental town. But the lights were with them. A woman lifted duckling after duckling from the blacktop to the grass, where the duck and brood regrouped and could wander safely to their certain deaths sometime off in the future. And so, one by one, we all drive off with a great appreciation of just what kind of world we have made. This is a little longish. I hope it comes out well reading. This is called Sunlight Beckons Beyond the Dumpster. My 12-year-old daughter, who by the way is now 20, my 12-year-old daughter reading a novel comes across a new word. She asks, "What is dauntless?" I say, "To lack daunt, to be without it," as if that helps. She asks, "So, do we have any?" And I have to say, I don't know. No one ever asked, and I wouldn't know where to look. The bookshelf, the back of the fridge, nothing. So next time I'm downtown and some worn out guy stretches out a hand, I'll have to shrug, point to my hips and make the empty pocket gesture and say with my face, "Maybe next time, bro, because you see, I'm dauntless." And I'd walk away embarrassed because maybe that's a lie. And I have some beside the quarters in my car's cup holder that I didn't give to the guy with the sign on the corner near Dunkin' Donuts when I was stopped at the light. Or not, because probably, really, I'm dauntless. Which is not to say I'm undaunted, since that presumes I once had it, or having lost it, plan to get some more. Getting some, what would I do with it? What would anyone do? Invest it, I guess, but not in a bank, not at these rates. I'd have to find a firm, invest aggressively, take risks, watch my daunt grow, buy up companies, sell off the parts, get at the source, mines, mineral rights, key lanes of transport, workers toiling night and day, mountaintops removed, slick water horizontal drill rigs churning, whole forests leveled and replanted to monocrop daunt. Because there's only so much of it and so much need. And if there isn't need, I'll make it with ads on the Sunday morning talk shows and BuzzFeed pop-ups. So long as I can keep the unions out. Easy enough if I spread some around the right people. But really, I'm not that ambitious, and I don't think myself greedy. I just want enough for me. How I get it doesn't matter. Let's just say I met a guy who knows a guy who has a connection and told me when to meet him in the alley behind the Shore Mart. Yes, it costs more than I want, but I don't get to set the price. I meet the man who offers me a taste because that's good business. I can feel my cheeks flush and that pleasant buzzing on my gums. But around the block, there's another two guys waiting, which I should have expected. I don't resist, but I don't show fear. My impulse is to stare at the gun, but I look at the guy right in the eye. He's scared too and refuses my gaze. His partner rifles my pockets, shoves me hard against the dumpster. I hold my own, chest out, heart racing, on the verge of tears. It's snowing, maybe, or raining, or maybe the sun is out and a warm breeze is telling me to pull myself out of the shadows and start the day on a firmer foot. But I remain on the greasy bricks, stuck in darkness where I am, fearful and needy and full of remorse, undaunted and still dauntless. Want to see how we're doing on time here. This is a much shorter poem from the book. Like scissors. Like scissors, they snip the chemical threads that hold a live thing together. Bacteria, fungus, primordial swarm. Then we're gas. Then we become element, phosphorus, carbon, something a live plant can claim. Dead, we're soup, we're cheese, we're the meal we're invited to but can never enjoy. Enjoyed, if a mold knows joy. Let's say sated on, feted because we're feast. The Last Supper we'll never know, because by then we're already being resurrected back into the body of the world. And one more poem. I think I'm staying within the time frame here. This is a new piece. It's called Self-Portrait as Ukiyo-e, or ukiyo-e, which is the Japanese woodcut block prints, the famous one of the wave everybody's familiar with. So what would I look like if I were done? Who would I be if I were a ukiyo-e? And I know I'm mispronouncing that word, so my apologies. Not the actor blanched in makeup, fleshed in colorful robes, white face twisted, his eyes screwed up, mouth turned down, hair all glamorous knots. All his character's urgency, a warrior's honor and self-destruction conveyed in two fists gripping a sword, fingernails perfectly cut. Not the samurai who, back arched, hovers over the courtesan, his stern erection hesitating, her kimono and legs spread wide, toes twisting, her head turned aside to compose the poem she will send to her lover, apologizing for missing their appointed meeting. Not the fisherman's wife, who lies back in actual delight because the pleasure is solely hers, not the octopus who gazes on her face from across the shelf of her belly, his beak mouth skillfully playing the key note of her joy. Not his friend to the side, adjusting his tentacle cups to caress with care her flattened breasts. Not the clawed wave crushing a boat with the weight of a mountain. Not the blue bird on a red maple branch, hiragana song notes rising to the clouds. Maybe the grasshopper pulling itself over the crest of a persimmon, the flat full moon rising behind. That's it, the shadow of an insect darkening a fruit. Thank you very much for this opportunity to read.
Thank you so much. That was lovely. Thank you. Our next writer is Nora Snyder. Hi, Nora. Nora is a writer, organizer, and librarian. See her website for more about her work, illuminousflux.com/press.
Hello, everyone. It's really funny how I spent a really long time perfecting the light in this room, and now the sun's going down, and now things are happening.
It looks perfect. It looks good.
I just feel like that's a life lesson.
It's going to show up right in your face in a minute. Yeah.
Right. So things are that's exciting. So thank you all for listening tonight. And thank you, Robin and Community Arts Partnership for this wonderful event. It's an honor to share my work alongside these other awesome artists. Like Robin said, my name is Nora Snyder, and my pronouns are she and her. When I planned my set for this evening, I needed to tie it up with a theme. I'm a children's librarian, so that's kind of my thing. I regret I couldn't pass out juice boxes and crayons this evening. So I thought that the theme for my story hour, or my 10 minutes, would be stories that spring. That's cute, right? Then upon looking over my work, I realized that pretty much all my work has a spring, an element of resilience or regrowth or rebounding. So I guess that's the rub of being a person that insists on a theme while at the same time over associating everything. So tonight I offer you 3 stories or poems that spring. The first is entitled Eagle Eyes. I wrote this piece in response to the waning pandemic situation. It's an encapsulation that is legend-like. So it's my attempt on sense-making and comfort-seeking Does it speak to the diversity of experiences or the complexity of the situation? No. It's a story that I'll someday share with my grandchildren. I was captivated by M. Scott Momaday, his new book, Earthkeeper, and I welcomed my first grandchild during this time. Eagle Eyes. This time last year, we began surrounding our elders with protection as best as we could. And now this year, our elders are creating an immunity bubble for the rest of us until it's our turn. This is very beautiful. I think I'll talk to a poem about it. This is that poem. Our nervous systems rattled with low-level terror of unintentional harm as our very life breath became a reckless, wavering mirage. The young delivered hard-won stillness to uncertainty, calibrating for the most vulnerable. 1 year later, the elders rejoined, encircling them with new-gotten protections, invigorated with confidence and the motor memory of having survived many things. A surge of normalcy is felt throughout the land, as if the natural order has returned. The young contributed their heart and their earnestness, being smart and flexible and capable, while the elders strived to maintain their role as protectors and holders of the long view. And all of us shed layers of ego, revealing a rich pulp of love within. The young say, I will defend you. The elders say, I will sacrifice for you. The great mystery says nothing, because there's nothing left to be said. Two circles collapse into a spiral once again. My next poem is called Green. It's mostly called Green because I was trying really hard to respond to a writing prompt that I assigned to our writing group. I'm pretty self-directed, and by that I mean I even managed to be a contrarian toward writing prompts that I make up myself. That said, I think I eventually brought it around town. When I encountered the headline from The Onion in this poem, I was enchanted by the idea of prescriptively suggesting to women, just collapse and see what happens. It's like the exact opposite of leaning in. My new self-improvement book will be available soon. That's a joke. This is called Green. The Onion headline says, an increasing number of women are leaving the workplace to pursue lying face down on the floor full time. A Department of Labor report suggests lying motionless in utter resignation on nights and weekends is no longer enough for most women. They deserve more. They just won't settle unless it's prone, eye level with the dust bunnies. This is groundbreaking. Early adopters, my ancestors, would subtly arrange a fainting pillow before the fall. I descend from planners, realists, one last fluff, and they broke the glass floor. May we all learn to pre-cushion our landings while contenting ourselves with lying in shards. As long as we can grab a blessed escape, hey girls, it's not that bad down here. Lie here long enough and our extremities sink into the matrix, making connections within mycelia networks. We eavesdrop on the trees. Lie here long enough and we hibernate with purring warm bodies curled around our rumps, behind our knees and in the hollows of our throats. Lie here long enough and we suspend for 17 years, then toss our exoskeletons and scream for sex. My final piece is named The Net, and it's a prose poem hybrid, so it's a little longer and a little meatier, but I'll try to read it well. The net has to do with fish and thoughts, particularly the kind of streaming inner dialogue that's hard to trust. When it comes to thoughts, it's important to make an assessment of whether it is a toxic garbage thought or a helpful keeper thought. And this reminded me of fishing, which is a practice I pretty much never engage in. But I do think about ecological balance and the ocean a lot. And for me, the two things seem related. The net. I am trying to detect the difference between thoughts real and unreal, the difference between the toxic sludge of garbage past and the keepers that brighten the landscape with their vitality. The difference should be obvious, but it's not. The Gulf Stream of our mind is relentless, pulling and pushing, swirling and eddying. I'm wondering if part of the process might involve letting the little ones pass. Small, quick fish thoughts that are immature and fearful, let them pass through. Likely they will get eaten anyway or develop and become more seasoned, more circumspect. No need to delay or corral them. No further examination is necessary. Wish them luck. Bycatch should be avoided. We don't need to net toxic thoughts along with all the others. New nets are being designed that allow lighted escape hatches for the non-targeted to replace the heavy hand of long lining. Be discerning. The most sustainable of fishing practices is the use of a spear. Elegant, decisive, balanced, and focused. This is an art we should all aspire to. Another tool to engage, seasonality. The idea that there's a season for everything leaves nothing behind and provides for constant narration. There's no exhaustion of supply because seasons move and change and require different things. We can remain nimble and unclogged and unbeaten down because look, the sun is different and the tides have shifted and now we have permission to engage and disengage in accordance. But still, no technique is perfect for all conditions and the oceans are weary. The big ones remain, those mighty fish thoughts, they fight and persist. They are stuck and frustrated and perhaps merit more consideration, mostly because they can't be ignored. They are netted, they gulp, and they flop, and they might have teeth. Toxic thought weeding must commence before excessive embedding. Every invasive thought species, no mercy. Your head need not be a hothouse or a cradle or a convalescent home. So pull, torch, dredge, whatever it takes. Pluck away every non-native water chestnut. Rake out every strand of hydrilla, even if you have become comfortable with them. Even if their voices sound familiar. Even if you once depended on them or used them as a weapon, even if you feel kind of sorry for them because you begrudgingly respect their ability to be so damn successful. Thank you for listening. It was so fun reading for you.
Thank you, Nora. Thank you. The entire time you were reading, every neighborhood dog was barking all around and they just stopped. So respect. The next
tend to have that effect.
The next is Stacy Murphy. Stacy loves writing and encouraging other writers. Her first poetry collection, Old Stones Understand, was just released, Shanti Arts Publishing, and she co-edited New York Votes for Women, a suffrage centennial anthology, Cayuga Lake Books, in 2017. You can read her poems at her blog, which is Stacy with an E, Stacey Murphy.blog.
Thanks for remembering the E. What if the siren songs fishermen were meant to fear didn't come from the sea? What if the powerful howls came from the raw throats of women on land, women at home in farmhouses gripping the edge of the kitchen sink or curled up on the edge of the bed? From women wandering the shoreline in shawls, all of them keening, mourning for the matted kelp long gone from their carefully shorn heads. It has never been the mermaids who salted the ocean with their tears. That flavor, little by little, washed downstream out of the eyes of those who would have tails. That was Mermaid Tears, and it's one of the ones from the collection that Robin mentioned, and I'm going to read more of those, but I wanted to do a couple more recent ones too, mixed in. So the next one is called Big Sky Dreams. Sometimes it's not enough to be a cow in a field, day in and day out, discussing bovine worries and thinking bovine thoughts. Sometimes a cow turns her big brown eyes to a gate left open, and her soft ears perk to hear the call of her big sky dreams, no time for fences. Sometimes a cow walks through and finds herself in a herd of deer with their cervine riddles and their cervine philosophy. Sometimes that cow, well, she is a strange one, and bright though, feels truth in the lilt of deer language. And it's not the deer way to question, so they accept her. Sometimes a cow finds her own way in the grazing so much better in grass that is freely chosen. And this next one is pretty recent. It was, I wrote it in late March. It was sort of in response to the shooting in Atlanta. And it's called Shoucha. The day I was killed while doing my job was a normal day in my American skin. That is to say, my Chinese American skin, my non-white skin, and a tax-paying skin, and a kind one, and a skilled one, and an everyday one, and a valuable one. Unless your day in your American skin, which is to say your white male skin, and an aching one, and a violent one, and a privileged one, and an everyday one, and a more valuable one, must be a more valuable one because your bad day means more than my life and 7 other lives. And that is what happens when you have a bad day. And when someone with skin more like yours, with contempt for skin more like mine, holds the privilege of holding the microphone, of holding the attention of the rest of the country, and will talk of my killer, that poor, poor man on his sad, bad day. It's just what happened. While I remain nameless, but I am Shoucha. I was 2 days from 50. I was a mom. I owned 2 businesses. I was a citizen. I was a friend. And I was a target. Okay. So next, so the book that Robin had mentioned is this one. It's called Old Stones Understand, and it just came out in March, and it's at Buffalo Street Books and Odyssey, and directly from the publisher, Shanti Arts Publishing, and you can also get it from our overlords at Amazon. And next poem I'm going to read is the one that has the line in it that created the title. This is called When a Boulder Dreams. When a boulder dreams from its hillside, in the June heat, is it to imagine raindrop kisses on its head as it yearns for the next thunderstorm? Do dry August rocks remember cool caresses from water that ran through them weeks ago? Pebbles in winter stream beds know too well the weight of ice above, dozing for days until the tickle of melting turns to fervid rushing, the passion of the thaw. Old stones understand. Whatever the season, longing and its relief are the same. And the next one I have is also sort of in the theme, kind of following up on Nora's discourse on weeding. This is another springy one, also called Weeding. I rip weeds from the soil like breaking old habits. Some come up easily, satisfying if temporary. I know I'll have to watch for resurging growth. Old patterns don't die quickly. Some have deep, thick roots. Resisting a pull, they need thorough excavation. My aching knuckles caked in mud. while twisting, tugging, the root's gnarly voice laughing at my naivete that some force preceding me by lifetimes would pull free finally, just like that, on one simple sunny day. But I do my best, cut it off as deep as I can reach, toss it away, and let it be. Let it be good enough for this garden. Let it be good enough for this day of this life. Just let it be better. And the last poem I'm going to do is called A Celestial Event. It's based on my favorite meteor shower in November, the Leonid meteors. The first time I ever saw them was amazing. And this sort of inspired this poem, as well as other fun, magical winter things that happen. You might have seen it from the driver's seat, speeding down the PA Turnpike, a flash through the moonroof. Then another across the windshield, and you made wishes to break the dark, stretching miles ahead. Maybe you were sneaking a smoke on the way to the dumpster, the garbage bags rustling, papery in the wind, when a star shot through, right through the center of the smoke ring that you directed heavenward. Perhaps you were already atop a hill on the longest night of the year, around a fire with others, drums, voices, and rattles raised, naming them, welcoming them, the light beings mingling with sparks from the fire. Or it could have been that you were asleep in your bed, deep in the slumber of childhood, when you heard the voice, felt the kiss on your forehead as if from far away. In the morning, you found a bit of glitter on the pillow and detected just a bit more brightness in your mother's voice as she slid a cup of morning cocoa in front of you, and the new snow on the windowsill twinkled in memory of what the stars had whispered the night before. And thank you, Community Arts Partnership. Thank you, Robin.
Yay, thank you. Thank you so much. Next is Tiffany Fleming, and I'm meeting you for the first time. I've met so many of you via email, so it's good to see your faces. Tiffany lives in Ithaca and grew up in New England. She has degrees in science education and plant biology, and many competing passions, including poetry and writing, gardening, teaching yoga, and spending time in nature. Her creative writing interests explore rural life, gendered experience, family history, cultural inscriptions, memory work, and place.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. These are new poems that were written this fall and winter during the pandemic as a way to process some of the identity politics that I think we're all still trying to process, and thinking about working class culture and that experience as a young person, and how we might reconcile some of that today. So I'll start with the first poem is called Rift Wing. On a clear day in September, you watch the struggle of a ripped-winged monarch, its start-stop flight among fading zinnias. A whole webbed wing skims a dried petal. Are the black snake markings of the wing a flight path? Full nectar throat, heavy pollen legs. The zinnia still gives, but you know, even with her tender gifts, there's no way this one's making it home. Everything above ground. Everything is curiously beautiful, while the parched clay earth scatters in dry clouds like chalk dust, smoking and settling over brilliant golden leaves of locust and sycamore, without any suggestion that the rain longs for this cracked creek bed or our fields. Everything above ground is shaped by water. Everything is curiously quiet, while the nuthatch needles a limb, its scaled feet face the sky and move quickly, skirting the shaggy underside of a horizontal branch without any suggestion that the rules of gravity apply. Everything above ground is reaching for the sun. January. I will come in the dead of winter. After the garlands and lights come down to a young woman, a child herself, strong and almost grown in a body she does not recognize, that will labor through the night. Come cold morning, through a rippled womb, I will rest in her hands, and she will give me a name, a dragonfly piccolo name. Even if my girl comes from nothing, she will be called a beautiful thing. This one is called Tiffany Among White Girls. I wasn't called Margaret, Elizabeth, Catherine, or Anne. Solid middle-class white girl names, the girls who get good grades in school while their mothers, the P's and the PTA, keep lookout with code and hawk vision. The girls with P's bring lunches from home in pink plastic boxes that look like toys. They drink from silver, soft packets of Capri Sun and speak with blue tongues. Tropical berry islands and Marion's minivan riding together on field trips to Canopy Lake and Bald Mountain. I watch her watching over the nest of precious girls who learn early to echo her calls, the same calls our teachers make, not words, but warnings. Stay close to the nest up here, away from trailer trash girls. From their perches, the P's and T's patrol the roadsides for rabbit and game. They move in fast on noisy songbirds. Their girls carry the message in blue-tongued silence. Before we wore lip gloss, we were junior sluts, girls who eat brown-bagged school lunch, whose mothers aren't peas. This one is called Rhubarb. My grandmother grew rhubarb in an open pasture on the far side of the barn. It came back every year in a parade of leather, leaf, and garnet, offering itself up to us freely. Again and again, we had something beautiful, something extraordinary, something of our own. This one is called Redneck Plays. We play this game with 3-sided die. Flags raised, rubber burning, thick hands, roll one. You shame, you hide, you keep quiet. Snake eye, you watch. You see them and you learn them, what they know, want you to know, how they talk, want you to talk. You hide the rest, you ain't stupid. What they can see, they cut down. So they can walk over a landscaped green, see the world through a clean glass foyer. They don't know where the trash goes. You toss it out, you hide the rest. You trash, you shame, you silent, or you roll too. You smoke it, you smoke them. They smite, you smite them. Spit on the ground, seething, not inside, but out. Fuck it. What they refuse you, dignity, space, voice, pay, a seat at the table. You refuse them, respect, an ear, a vote, the benefit of the doubt. You spit on it and you own them. At least you own them in their inability to get you. You smile at their frustration. You show them what it's like to have their power taken away. Impotent, offended, angry. You put on a defiant show even if you smite yourself and your own, or you roll 3. The wild card. You out or it eats you alive. Either way, you gone. You're talking their pretty talk, looking down like you don't know low, or you're riding a dark horse. Either way, you give up your voice, bury it, you dig and dig and dig, but it stays on your back. You carry a weight they can't see. You're so polite. You've buried it inside, not out. They can't find it, and now you can't find it. And even if you wanted to, you won't be able to let it go. The last one is called A Walk Always Helps. I can't sit still today, and yet I can't move. All the writings on writing I've read say a walk always helps. I lace up my gray rubber boots with a peach bandana. I lace up my face, and the rain sheds my melancholy as people move away from me. Crows gather and caw above the emptied streets. Red flame, burnt umber, leaves falling. Don't just take the old down, wind. Carry all of this away, but touch it first. Like water rolling over everything. Learn the shape of each branch, wire, face, and stone. Like this well we've run dry again, filling now. Spilling itself up and out of the ground, nowhere to go but here. That's all that I'll share tonight from this work in progress.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So I want to thank everyone who's using the chat. We're going to have some time left between the two events after Chris is next. But after Chris, we'll probably have, 10 or 15 minutes before the 7 o'clock event. So if anyone has any questions for any of the writers, please put them in chat. So next is Christopher Holmes. Chris is a writer and social revolutionary. His first published essay was printed in Looking Left magazine more than 30 years ago. His mother was a famous European ventriloquist touring as Mary Catherine and Chuckles. He is at littlewhaleproductions.com.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin. Thank you. I just want to say thank you to Cap. Everybody's been so great tonight. It's just awesome stuff. Thank you guys for reading. And I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, and I hope that's okay. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Cap, for giving me a little space to do this. Anybody who knows me knows that very seriously, very close to my heart is the issue of childhood literacy. So I've been thinking about ways of how I'm going to how can I help maybe do something fun for kids, promote literacy, and it came book juggling. I think just book juggling would be awesome. Kids would see something like me, pretty cool, and juggling books, which is also very cool, and they would they'll get really into it. So I thought let me try that. So thus Chris the Book Juggler was born. So this is going to be the world premiere of Chris the Book Juggler. I hope it has a long life, and I'm looking forward to doing it tonight. Thank you for having me. I will be very honest, is that usually I love to perform and stuff, but I'm very nervous doing this. I've never done anything like this before in my whole life, my whole performing life, whatever I've done. So this is just, it's very exciting. I hope you bear with me. So let's get to it. Let's start juggling some books. I'm going to talk about the books that I'm going to juggle. Now, obviously, if I was doing this for kids, I would pick In the Night Kitchen or some shit. But we're all adults more or less here. So we're going to do 3 books tonight. This is the complete prose and poetry of William Blake. This is really good. Oh, when you're juggling books, you really want to go for heft more than anything else, because you need it would just fly off otherwise. So this is William Blake, who I love, the religious stuff. If you're into that kind of thing, and weird religious stuff. And this is, I should mention that I've actually made modifications to this book. I don't know if you can see on this one, certainly this one. I don't want them flying all over the place. So I've added hockey tape to come right off one inch of the book. You get this anywhere, like any hockey shop, or I don't know, like Dick's Sporting Goods, probably. I don't know. You call ahead and see if they have it. So this is William Blake. This is Don Quixote, maybe the first novel ever. And it's in Spanish, but this is English, so I can't read Spanish. And oh, this is Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. I haven't read all of this because it's really long, and David Foster Wallace, he may be canceled. I don't know. Somebody can check on that maybe. So okay, that's it. Let's just juggle. I'm gonna juggle. Please bear with me. Let me get ready. Can you see me okay? Okay. All right. Shit. Sorry. Oh, damn it. That always happens the first time. I'm sorry. Listen, honestly, I'm a little nervous. No, let me get a drink of water. Okay, let's give it one more try. I'm going to start with Infinite Jest on top this time. All right, this is a little bit better. Ready? Oh, hey, no! Shit. Hello? Sorry, are we still there? Are we still? I can't see. What's going on up there? Just shut up, I'm doing the juggling. All right. I'm sorry, guys. That's it. Did you break anything? I didn't break anything. No. Just listen. Thank you very much, everybody. That's what we have tonight. This reading is over.
You know, since your mom was a famous European ventriloquist, and last year in your bio she was a tightrope walker, I would think that you would have learned some juggling skills, as your family seems to be a circus family. I think he left. Did you leave, Chris?
He turned off his video.
Turned off his video.
Pamela's yelling at him.
I know. It looks like he got banished to the attic, actually. Maybe that wasn't water. We are done with this group reading. The next event starts at 7:00. If you have any, well, Melanie says it's the best book juggling she's ever seen, so she probably hasn't seen any book juggling before. 7:00 to 9:00 is a spring posy, playwrights and performance. There are, I think, 9 very short videos lined up for your viewing pleasure. Chris, Doug Levine wants to know what your fee is for juggling in front of people at the State Theater. Do you mean in front of the State Theater? And Roger Hecht sees a spot for you in the next Ithaca Festival. So, wow, fan club. And Scott Hitz would like to book Chris for a birthday party. I wondered, I'm going to ask a question of some of the other writers, Nora and Roger and Stacey and Tiffany. Was this year any different for you, this past year during the pandemic, in terms of what you wrote about, whether you shared your work more because there were Zoom opportunities or shared your work less? Just how did this past year affect you? You could just start talking. Oh, you're on mute. We're putting you all up.
Myself. Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Am I good? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm even though I teach online, I've had to teach online when everything shut down back in at the beginning of things. I'm not very good at like going out and setting up online events. I had a bunch of, when my book came out, I'm very thankful for being able to participate in this. I had a couple of readings scheduled when my chapbook came out last year, came out just in time for the pandemic. So they were all canceled, and I wasn't terribly adept at, oh, well, I'll just take it all online. So unfortunately, I didn't take advantage of it too much. I have to say the whole thing just sort of situation was just sort of depressing me so much. I can't really say that I became, all this time at home didn't make me into a more productive writer.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting because there are some people who really had the time to be creative, this past year, and some people who were too depressed to be creative this past year. How about the rest of you?
I'd say initially my impulse to try to sort of, I guess, cope with all the shutting down resulted in, like, for the first month or so, I wrote a whole bunch of short poems. It was sort of like one a day, and I put them on my Facebook page, and that was fun. But then it got to be the end of April, and it was like, well, all right, that's enough of that. And then kind of nothing happened for a while, it creatively. I mean, I'm a little afraid to go back and read parts of my notebook in my journal and see just what the heck happened last year. I mean, I wrote some stuff and it was good. I think the Zoom format was kind of neat. Like, at least a couple of the writing groups that I'm in, one of them meets weekly, and it actually turned out to be a really good thing for us. Like, we adapted our format pretty quickly, and for some of the people in that group, but for all of us, really, it kind of turned into like a touchstone. We saw each other and we got to connect, and it was really meaningful, and sort of helped keep spirits up to have something to look forward to every week.
There's been something about Spring Writes on Zoom which feels more intimate and special, and I think it's just because of this past year has been difficult. I muted everyone just because someone was printing. Who was printing?
That was me. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Or someone in my house was printing the printer.
Oh, all right. Oh, you have a remote thing. Yeah. How about you guys, Nora and Tiffany, or Chris? I put you on mute. Sorry. I was trying to figure out where the printer was coming from.
Hello.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
How's your past year been with your creative brain?
Listen, this has been fucking nuts, right? This is a crazy thing. It's not you, because you think you maybe have time now. You don't really have time. It's just making nuts. So, we've been lucky enough to be okay and have the resources to squire up and stuff. But
yeah.
Yeah.
I actually had so much more time because I was working from home, and hours of the day spent, dressing, driving, getting coffee, where I started drawing, and that just was really interesting. I'm just kind of babbling until the next event starts. So we can officially, unless Nora and Tiffany have anything that they want to just jump in and say, we can end this event. And I encourage people to go get a snack and drink some water, and or whatever you like, and come back at 7. And we'll have the Spring Writes. Nope, we will have a Spring Posy Playwrights in Performance.